2025 at 6 p.m. If you all can stand with me, Commissioner Pelletier will do the invocation. Commissioner Ayers will do that lead us in the pledge.
Lord, we thank you for allowing us together today, and we pray for your guidance in making decisions for our citizens of the city. We thank you for our first responders, and we ask that you bless them and their families. Please keep them safe and let them go home after their shift. We thank you for our citizens and employees that make Callaway a great place to be. And we pray you bless them with peace and success. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City clerk, please do a roll call.
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Here.
Commissioner Ayers?
Here, ma'am.
Mayor Henderson?
Here. Okay, we have a couple presentations tonight. First, we have Deputy Kit McKenzie to do the Bank County Sheriff's Office May statistics.
Good evening, it's good to see each and every one of you. The May statistics, accidents 46, arrest 51, calls for service 1,077, citations 90, miles patrolled 23,845, and traffic stops reported at 140.
This report's okay with the one last month, they had 32,000 miles, was that accurate? Or?
I doubt it. I'm gonna tell you, I don't. And I know this because me and Erin had a conversation the other day, and she looked at her statistics for May, and she went through and counted all her traffic stops and her citations, and they didn't add up to what the computer was saying that she had. So I know that it's not accurate. Now somebody else down there in IT may tell you I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain from our research that we've got some problems.
Yeah, now last Friday, I came across an accident at Walmart, north side, north end of Temple Parkway.
Yes,
The week before that, an accident at 7th Street, I think, in Temple Parkway. What's going on with the accidents?
bad drivers, but somebody's not obeying the law. But you know, I have to be totally honest with you. I think we could do a better job at enforcing the law. I think that if you took some look at how many deputies actually have radar devices in their cars, how many of them individually or that work for the city of Callaway are taking an initiative to do traffic enforcement. I think if you looked at things like that, and you sat down and talked to the right people, that you might could see an increase. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I stand up here, I'm gonna always tell you the truth. I believe we could do a better job, but I'm gonna tell you, overall, I think we do an excellent job as far as law enforcement in the community of Callaway. I think the sheriff's doing an excellent job. I think the captain's doing an excellent job. But is there room for improvement? Yes, sir, there is.
Is this something we maybe need to talk to Captain about?
I think that if you want anything to improve there, it would be, because I have mentioned before your concerns, and I don't have seemed to have made any progress.
You try to dial into like the city limit, I know that's gotta be hard to do, or is it Callaway area, you know?
The whole county's got issues with traffic
That'd be hard to see.
But we want to talk about the city of Callaway, that's what you referenced.
Yeah, but statistics wise, and that'd be hard to do with enclaves in different areas.
Yeah. But, I mean, we've had bad wreck, there was, we had a traffic homicide investigation in Southport today. I mean, there's bad wrecks happening everywhere. So,
But it is like you.
but it is, but I drove through the city of Callaway in an unmarked vehicle, and saw people weaving in and out of traffic, and I mean, y'all must be seeing it all the time. When I get my marked patrol car, they seem to slow down and drive a little better whenever I'm going up and down Central Parkway. But I'm going to tell you, people are driving they push the limit just as far as they possibly can. And yeah, if they don't think anybody's around, they drive wide open and weaving out traffic. Don't use their turn signals that cause traffic accidents. And they need to, you know, we could do better, but the citizens need to do better too.
You ride a motorcycle if you want to see us.
No, sir, I don't want to ride one over here.
When you're driving in a car next to you, we
Yes, sir, I don't wanna ride one anywhere and
I don't worry, tap on the window.
We have 14,000 vehicles a day,
yes.
going, north or south.
I think there's room for improvement, yes, sir, but do I think we do a great job overall? Yes, sir.
Well, so do I, so do we.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate your honesty as well.
Yes, ma'am. And if I can meet with you, with the captain, whatever, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you, Deputy. Okay, we do have another presentation, our Mr. and/or Mrs. Weeks by any chance in the audience. Oh,
Yes.
wonderful, if y'all will come up here. I have a certificate for you for Yard of the Month. It just reads City of Callaway Yard of the Month. The City Commission for the City of Callaway, Florida recognizes and honors Jerry and Linda Weeks for improvements and beautification to their property with the Yard of the Month Award for June 2025. And I said, the picture is lovely. You do a wonderful job, so I don't know, does anybody want to take a picture? I know usually Scott, Tim usually takes, stand with us so we can. Just so you can, with your certificate.
This is an honor.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
Well, and they'll get the sign and stuff too.
Thank
that
you so much.
And thank you for beautifying your gallery. Okay, we'll move on to mayor's instructions. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, we'd like to add the SBA tower contract agreement to the agenda. This is for the FlexNet system.
Okay, do we have a motion to add that to the agenda?
Motion. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that'll be item number 6. Okay, and we'll go on, just the rules on public participation. For anybody that doesn't know, I think all of y'all are familiar, but just in case, you can speak on every agenda item if you so wish. You get 3 minutes on each one. But you do, raise your hand when I ask for public participation. Once you're recognized, come to the podium. If you choose, state the name and address for the record. And then your 3 minutes will start on, whichever item you're talking about. At the end of the meeting, we have public participation for non-agenda items. Process is the same as far as being recognized, if you want to state your name and address. Then you have 3 minutes on the non-agenda item. So, with that said, we will go on to the approval of the minutes. We've got the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 regular meeting. Did anybody have any comments or questions, anything on those minutes? And if not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve May 27th minutes.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. There's no discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And we'll go on to our regular agenda. Item number 1, resolution number 2509. I'm thinking that's just OP. That doesn't look like 2509 FDOT LAP agreement, Lake Drive Sidewalk Project. City Attorney.
Resolution 2509, a resolution of the City of Callaway, Florida, approving a local agency program agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, for sidewalk improvements, authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
Hey, City Manager.
This is a lab project through the local agency program with FDOT. We received $173,000 to design the sidewalks on Lake Drive. LAP does these in phases, so the first phase will be design and expected to be construction. This is a 100% fully funded grant. It will not cost the city anything.
Anybody have any questions for City Manager? comment? If not, would anybody in the audience?
I did have, just to clarify on the record, they may be listening, where's the sidewalk going from what road to what road?
Kendall Parkway.
Okay. Anybody in the audience want to comment on this item?
This is similar to Boat Race, which was similar to Wallace,
Yeah.
similar to Cherry Street. These are just connectivity projects and walkability projects with the city.
Okay,
Since this will be on the south side.
Is it Southside? Southside, right?
I believe it's Southside.
It's Southside, I think we have
Southside.
larger.
Southside.
We have larger right away out here.
Everything's up, all the others we've done from south side. Just curious.
if nobody in the audience wanted to comment, anything else up here, or we need a motion?
Motion to approve resolution number 25-09, FDOT last agreement, Lake Drive sidewalk project.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, city clerk.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briggs?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes. Okay, we'll go on to item number 2, extension for the development order called Carlisle Baptist Church, 835 South Bertha Avenue. City manager.
Commission previously approved the development order for Carlisle Baptist Church. The development order is scheduled to expire July 14th, 2025. The developer has requested a 2-year extension. Staff has reviewed and approved.
Anybody have any question for city manager on this item? Nobody has anything? Did anybody in the audience want to comment on the extension for the development order for the church? Not seeing anyone. It's back to us, gentlemen. Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve extension for the development order called Carlisle Baptist Church, 835 South Bertha Avenue. 2 years.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this item, or any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go on to item 3, budget transfer to purchase and install 2 new HC evap coils at fire station. City manager.
You have a quote to replace 2 AC evap coils on the fire side of the public safety building in the amount of $17,744. This is an unexpected replacement cost that we did not budget for. We're requesting to move forward with the replacement and transferring of the unused budget funds from the community center budget, where we came in significantly under budget. We're just gonna shift these over to cover the cost. This is for, yeah, so, yes, capital. Basically, we talked about the fire station in the past and how much trouble we had with that solve on the police side. The fire side, these units are 16 years old, and so this was a little unexpected, but we're gonna go ahead and take care of this, and we'll budget next year more adequately for to continue maintenance on them. They're getting old.
Anybody have any question? Commissioner Pelletier?
I was trying to find it, where's the warranty information?
Chief?
I don't see it.
I called Brandon today with that, and it's 1 year, bumper to bumper, 10-year parts.
Why 1 year?
That's just, dated.
That's kind of low. And we don't have anything in writing in this contract. At least I couldn't find it anyway. I think it needs to be part of this contract, in my mind. I mean, I don't want to delay anything, but
I can definitely give him a call and put that verbiage in there.
is your AC down? Or is this
Yes, they're down. We have a window unit up in the data room right now. We have, like city manager said, we have 4 air handlers up there. You guys just approved one February 25th meeting, so we have one coming in. Talked to Brandon, that just got here, so we'll be getting that one installed next week. Unfortunately, 2 more went out towards, west, up there, so, talking with him, he said usually you get about 13 to 16 years, so we're right there.
16 years is a long time. I would like to see something in writing, on extended warranty. They can tell you all they want over the phone, but it's not part of this contract.
I can definitely call person and want to get it in there.
It implies there's a material and labor warranty.
Yeah.
Like it says, because it says, that warranty is excluded on any stuff that you install. So they're certainly implied one in there, but it sounds like there is a material and labor warranty, which probably is separate.
And just to be clear, this is just not the EVAP hole, this is the whole unit.
Right, yeah, I know.
Believe it or not, just to do the EVAP hole was more expensive than the whole unit.
Yeah.
And what it is, the guy told me, it's just where you're working. You're in that attic. They're basically taking the AC apart to get it through the scuttle and putting it back together. Everybody that we talked to, they said, they basically came here with these ACs and built the station around it.
Yeah.
It's not in a desirable,
It's a stupid design.
I just wasn't in a position at that time to make the decision.
I just want to make sure that you get that in writing. I don't think we want to delay.
John, if we could approve it contingent on them getting
Preceded the warranty, because they talked about it, I think
Yeah.
there's, this is their quote, so I assume they'll come with an actual agreement with the warranty. This is their quote, they're gonna approve it.
I'll get it straight to the city manager in the morning.
Thanks.
Anybody else have anything?
I think as a city, we probably need to look at, every couple of years, pumping $15,000 in what's new units cost.
We'll be prepared for the last unit next year.
Well, the other side is finding the sheriff department.
And if we got them up, could we relocate them, move them somewhere else?
We tried.
It would be nice.
We looked. Not a lot of room, is it, chief?
Not a lot of room up there, and talking with engineers, you probably get an engineer just to make sure it can support the weight. A lot of stuff in that attic.
Or do we have to cut the ceiling out to replace them? More than likely, or is it drop?
They'll take them apart.
We remove drop ceiling right now, so they basically take apart the whole unit and reassemble it up top.
Anything
So
else?
unless something else happens to that last unit between now and next budget year, we'll be ready for it next year.
Question I had concerning cost was, it looks like 2 units, they're the same cost. If you had 2 units that they're doing at the same time, crews there, and set up and all that, wouldn't there be a difference in cost? Or is the total cost just divided by 2? Because there's 2 units involved there, right?
Yeah, we're doing 2 units.
For the 17.7, but they're $8,872 a piece. Each one of them. And I was just thinking, if that's the cost, if we only did 1 unit, it'd be $8,072. But they'll be doing 2 units, look like we would be able to get a better price. Unless they already given us a better price for the 2 units, we're just dividing it. by
Chief,
2.
what was the other unit that we did? Remember how much it was?
I don't think.
It was like 6,700, something like that.
This company's not in town either, right?
No, they're at Pensacola. We're hamstrung with, this particular style, and brand of unit called Dakin. They are the service reps for Dakin that run the whole way over to Jacksonville. They do the whole entire panhandle.
Anything else? Anybody? Did anybody in the audience want to comment on the air handler and fire station?
motion to approve budget transfer to purchase and install 2 new HVAC systems part of the
Contingent on them getting there.
contingent on the recipient of the warranty paperwork.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll go on to item number 4, which is task order, change order number 1, Sandy Creek Sewer.
Sandy Creek.
Sandy
Sandy Creek.
Sandy Creek Engineering, okay.
Sandy Creek.
I'm reading it right there.
Oh, I got the wrong one pulled up, I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
Alright,
you explain.
so, this is for the, basically putting in the new sewer out at Sandy Creek. We've had multiple redraws of this project due to property owner conflicts. The engineering portion of the project has maxed out. The change order will shift additional money from construction, to the engineering side. This is gonna be for actual labor hours incurred to finish up the project. This is not a lump sum, and the task order is being reviewed by the state right now, so we will need approval based on contingent upon state approval.
And this will all be funded by CDBG-DR grant.
Yes, this is all grant funded. We're just going to pull some from the construction side, move it over to the engineering
It's
side.
on the record that it's grant funded, it's not,
I think we've got about 4 redraws on this project right now.
I'm not surprised.
I'm just curious, the city attorney, you know, we're actually doing Sandy Creek a big favor by doing what we're doing.
Well, they're also
Can-
our customers. that we'll be
They are
going over,
customers,
so,
yeah.
But yes, you're right.
Don't, what type of, easement do we have at Sandy Creek? Is it 10 feet, 20 feet?
Oh, I think it's, remember, this was not Callaway,
I know.
this was private neighborhood, it was a private Utilities Inc. owned water and sewer. So
So there
whatever they had, which was a mess, which we knew when years ago we bought a mess, but got the customers, we're getting a 25% surcharge.
Yeah.
And so if we can get this thing, cleaned up with grant money, but yeah, apparently, we can bring the engineers here, but the easements are a mess, which is not surprising, because they had their own.
There were no easements. We're not reusing their lines.
Yeah.
None.
No,
It's
they
in-
don't.
Grinder
I know
pumps,
that.
all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
everything they have out there, every house out there is on a grinder pump.
You're gonna get rid of all the grinder pumps?
Not
I
all.
thought you told us
That's
there's
90%.
90%, so you're still gonna have grinder pumps.
Still gonna have grinder pumps, but because we're doing this project, grinder pumps will belong to the homeowner and not the city.
Good.
So approximately 22 residences will be on the grinder.
I don't know, I can get you that exact amount. It's just some of them were so low, there was no way to grant any fee.
So I guess I'm asking the question, is this gonna happen again as we go forward, or is this gonna be the end of it?
This should take care
Fighting
of
with,
it.
fighting with them as to what we're gonna do.
No, everything's at the state now under environmental review.
I know that there are customers that still,
No,
I know. and
the city don't go out and get normal utility easements, because whoever bought the neighborhood developed it.
That's
They
why
got-
we
they
make
got
sure
it.
we don't end up with another 5 or 10 saying, no, you're not coming into my yard, and then we're having to redesign again.
Oh, we have a couple of property owners out there that actually stepped up and they donated property. They donated their properties for lift stations and stuff like that.
Yeah, one guy gave us
Yeah.
a couple lots.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, that's right.
Will we be pretty well cutting up the roads with all this?
we're gonna do some, but I mean, we're going beside the road, we're not going down the middle of the road.
Okay, 'cause,
So we will have to do
we
crossroads.
know the condition of the roads out
Might
there.
actually be an
We
improvement.
do all this work, and they have to repave. We do all the roads.
Those roads are county roads, that belongs to the county.
Actually, those are private roads.
HOA?
Right.
HOA, yeah.
They belong to the HOA. And HOA is having some issues right now.
Yeah.
They're struggling to reform because some of the past documents formed actually 2 HOAs out there, and so they're doing a lot of struggling to get their stuff right, but I mean, we are gonna cut roads. For gravity system, we've got to, we can't bore for a gravity. Force main, we could probably bore in some of those, we'll see how that works out. That was my question. Contractor driven.
Anything else from anybody up here?
Just wanna make sure that we don't end up in another 20, property owners that you can't come on our property. Keep on shooting stuff around.
No, it was good, everyone's good.
Did anybody in the audience want to comment? Change order? Don't see anybody, so.
I will just make one comment that this particular grant, we had a $15,000 match. We expanded this grant. The grant went over as part of the Hugh Thomas Drive grant. And because of the way that grant was structured, the property owners paid us $15,000. I don't know how that worked out, but it just worked out, so there's no money coming to the taxpayers.
I'd kind of like to make a comment, Mayor, if you don't mind. This is a real host project, and for our citizens, it's a good chance that the city manager did find the grant, because that $5 million that we got for that would come out of Callaway money, since they're our customers. So we in Callaway would have to fund that at some point, so it's kind of good that we do have a grant for it, and then our citizens here in Callaway are not having to pay for that. We're having to pay for it because it's tax dollars all the way around, but not coming out of our city funds.
I was told when I got here that we would never do anything with Sandy Creek. We were not gonna take any of the Callaway taxpayers' money to go out there.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'll figure it out.
You did.
Well, that involves the enterprise funds,
Right.
and at least fortunately, we have a 25% increase. Although the state was trying to do away with that at the last session.
They had it in this session too, so I'm sure that's gonna keep recurring, but I think down south and stuff, they really like that, which helps the rest of us.
I just wanted to make the comment, since it was such an old project.
Yes.
Mayor, you and I, with only 2 years left, when we all started this mess.
Yep.
That's it. Oh, yeah, that's exactly here.
Anybody else up here have any comment? Well, would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve task order change number 1, Sandy Creek Sewer.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further comment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. We go on to item number 5, change order number 1, Cherry Street engineer. Now you can do this.
I actually got the right piece of paper in front
That's
of me.
right.
Due to the number of revisions and changes that we've had from the utilities on the project, the engineers run out of contract funds. The additional funding will be on a time and material only. The engineer has been working without reimbursement now for several months. The task order will not to exceed amount of $48,000. We will throw this out of the tax and infrastructure tax. They're actually still working right now without funds. And I'll go ahead and give you a complete update on Cherry Street so we can get that out of the way. TECO completed all their stuff. It's been turned into the engineer. The engineer has put it into the plans. AT&T did another redraw. They turned their stuff in. That's going into the plans. Part of what we're going to be doing is this week we're doing a cursory review now that we know where their utilities are to see if some of these conduits can be changed by moving some of our structures. We've already found 2 locations that we know there's a manhole line at Bertha and Cherry that we're going to move. That's going to eliminate the conflict with TECO, so that'll be one less place they have to. Once we finish up this cursory review, which we expect to have done by Friday, we will go back, and TECO is preparing their plans to go ahead and start on their side. AT&T is going to be moving overhead, except in about 3 or 4 locations where they have to go underground just to hit some of their other lines. So we'll start at, as I said before, we'll start at Star Avenue. Once we get TECO out of the way, and they get up to Genevieve and keep going their way, we're going to go ahead and break ground and we'll start. It's not going to affect the parade this year, I don't think.
Yeah.
We'll just block off one side of the parkway, and we'll run a 2-lane on the other side. I think we can do it.
No.
We got a good sheriff department that can handle this.
Yes, I agree.
T-Co and AT&T are the only two utilities that have to do anything.
The city. We can leave it.
Well, but I know.
We're doing those on the fly as they go through. They pick up our
Comcast or
children.
WOW or nobody like that has to do anything. FPL's good,
FPL has done, changed everything that can change. I don't know what else they can change.
so we should just have, those should be the two utilities.
Yes.
Anybody have any, yes, sir?
This 48,000 is not gonna be the end of it, correct? As far as engineering?
We're hoping this is the end of it. This should be enough to take us through the whole entire project.
And how are we doing with CEI? We haven't talked about that yet.
CEI hasn't actually even started on it yet, other than they're doing the utilities.
Right.
We have not had very much expenditure. There's not much more than that.
Anybody else have a question?
I know, what are some of the BE options they're talking about coming up with, if they proposed any yet?
The what?
David, the BE options.
Well, that's what they're working on this week. That's what we're talking about, we're gonna take some of the, like, one of the manholes, we're gonna shift it over 2 foot, and that's gonna eliminate that contract, the conflict with people. We saw that one really quick, so.
Anything else from anybody? We good? Anybody in the audience want to comment on the change order on Cherry Street engineering? This should help move things along.
We should push it all the way out.
Besides us, does anybody have any more question, or would somebody like to make a motion?
Motion to approve change order number 1, Cherry Street Engineering. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion in a second. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah.
Okay. So motion will carry on the 4-1, and then we have the add-on item, the SBA tower agreement for the FlexNet system. City manager.
This is the contract to install the FlexNet system on the SBA tower over at the transfer station. Has been reviewed by the city attorney, and we just need to go ahead and execute this contract. They are scheduled to start installing at the end of the month. There will be an install on that tower, just so everybody knows, we're also putting a monopole up out of Sandy Creek. We've already prepped the site, it's ready, we'll put a monopole and for the redundancy issue to cover that area, any growth out that way.
Which tower are we using?
The big one right here. Right over there.
Okay, how long do they expect installation to take?
That's all we
Okay, and then how long after that will we be able to switch over to
within
just?
3 months.
Okay, so by the end of this fiscal year, we should be on
We
that.
should work.
Wonderful.
It's a redundant system. We'll be able to read off the towers, just so that everybody knows in case of hurricanes or anything like that. It still is connected to our drive-by system, so we can go out and drive-bys if we have to.
Okay. Anybody else have any, yes, sir?
I always have questions on that. You said 3 months, that means that's gonna be for implementation and training of staff,
We've already started training.
and software is we're gonna use Springbrook?
Yes. The biggest issue that we have is the handshake between the software and Springbrook.
Right, that's gonna be, yeah.
And it's not, our system, we actually have a very clean system in Springbrook. If anybody's heard about the horror stories over in Panama City, it just has to do with
Right,
their system. Our system is actually really good, and, we're out constantly on doing unreds. When we run our system, we go out and figure out what the problem is and we fix it.
Right.
It's implementation of that single file, and it should not be an issue because they've got this with Springbrook multiple times.
Right. Let me ask you, I know we discussed this, but, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna eliminate, any of our, two individuals, any, as far as what are we gonna do with them?
But we're always gonna have to have somebody.
You're gonna back up to what I'm saying, that you're not gonna have to turn water, you're not gonna have to go to the site to turn water off anymore.
Yes, we will. These,
I thought you told us you'd be able to do it from the software.
no, if you remember, we talked about this because we talked about the difference of price. And I supplied the old price for the new meters. We're not gonna install 7,000 new meters. To turn water off, we still have to send a tech out to turn the water off.
But
Now-
eventually, these new meters that we're buying are gonna be compatible to it, correct?
Yes, there is a meter. The meter costs twice as much as our current meter. What our goal was to start purchasing these meters.
Right.
Because we can tell you right now who the problem people are.
Right.
The people that
And put
always,
those out there.
we're always going out and turning water off. I mean, I
Right.
hate to say it, it's very much so, we can run these reports. In a case like that, we will start going out, pulling their meters and putting it in one so we can turn it off when we push that into the office. But that'll get, but we're always gonna have to go out and do manual reads, we're always gonna have to be working on the meters, we're always gonna have to be, turn them off, new installs, turn them on, we do all that.
Just had to ask.
Well,
We're not gonna make any promises about personnel because we don't know yet.
Right.
We know that, right off the bat.
We'll know eventually,
Yeah.
after the system's been in for a while.
well, we should have a shorter time between the reading and the billing. That's what we've been struggling with over the last 10 years.
We've been talking about it, but I don't think the city's ready for that yet.
I mean, there are several options that we can look at. We can look at going to multiple zones. We could go into 2 zones and go half a zone, half a zone. A lot of the issue is that once we get our reads in, yes, it's great, we got the reads in, but then that generates a report of unreads, high usage, and all this other stuff. One of the great things about high usage with this system is we will be able to go out and check. We can actually go out and look immediately instead of going out and running a meter history on it. We can do it from in-house. We'll be able to see they've had a consistent leak for this long. And we can look at these reports all day long. I can tell you if somebody's got a water hose on. We can tell you if somebody's toilet has a leak. 9 times out of 10, we can look at it if your toilet has a leak. And then, because you just tell by the usages and how it works. Or your irrigation system is running. I had one the other day where I had a gentleman, I said, your irrigation system is running twice a night for an hour. And he told me, he goes, no, it's not. I said, go outside at 1 o'clock in the morning. At 1 o'clock in the morning, he went outside, irrigation system hooked up. He says, well, how am I supposed to stop that? I went over and unplugged it. So, we got that figured out for him. So that, there's a lot of things that we're gonna do. It's gonna make us quicker, it's gonna make us more responsive. It's gonna make customer service impeccable, because if you come in and you go, here's your usage, we can show you right there, and tell you have a slow leak. And, and we can estimate what it's gonna run and what's gonna come for it. And so we're gonna be more responsive that way to the citizens. We should be able to get our reads quicker. But we're always gonna have the side of, we didn't get a read. I mean, right now, things happen, somebody takes a car, and it happens to be a low rider, and they park it over top of the meter, and I can't get a read on it. Happens all the time. Even with our drive-by system. Or sometimes we had one where there was a wire on an MXU. We don't know why it come off, but it just broke. And, so we had to go out and replace the MXU, so that's what our techs will do. We're hoping for a faster read, and we hope to speed up the billing process.
I think that was our goal, and I think when we start discussing and investing in this, that
Yes.
not only, because at the end of the day, I know that David will tell me, well, a lot of that money is late fees, but I don't know what the actual money is that we're losing, but we're still losing money every month, no matter how you look at it. Be it 15, 20,000, be it whatever, I don't think, that's kind of high, but at the end of the year, we still have a pretty good lump sum. And I know when we started talking about this years ago, that our goal was to speed up the billing, because we're running 2 months behind, and that's ridiculous. So somehow or another, we need to shorten that up.
But at that time also, that was one of the goals, and then we actually had 3 people involved in reading meters and cut that down to 2, which I totally agree with not to have 2, no matter what.
Yeah, because it's a tournament.
Right.
And, you know, we've been short personnel over there, we're full staff now, but before, you know, fortunately, we have a lot of cross training that goes on, and our water department steps up and sends us somebody, and they help us out whenever we need help. And if we have a rough month, that we call over and they give us somebody for a day, and they're training the way we do stuff, so.
So Seth, I think our goal needs to be that we need to get off of the 60-day billing cycle.
Yeah, right now,
I agree.
right now, they basically, a person basically has 3 months. Well, 3 months, you start with, you know, day 1, and then you got, but before we actually cut it off, they actually have 3 months of use. We're almost 3 months, 2.5 months.
We're also gonna look at when we read versus when we, you know, how long it takes us to get those reads in versus when those bills go out. And I think right now we read on around the first of the month, and then that goes out, and then the bills go out for next month, at the end of the month, the following month, which is due at the end of the month, so they're bringing 2 months.
I just think that, you know, when we invest in this, our goal is that, and I think you need to be working towards that goal, cut that 60-day cycle out somehow. I know it's easier said than done.
And then we can start modifying.
Right, exactly. I know it's easier said than done, but that should be our goal, to get off of that 60-day cycle.
I think we can drop it to 15.
Right.
As a start.
That's kind of my first go.
Right.
We can drop it to 15.
Anybody else have up here?
But what that ends up is, your bills are still going out, but we won't do reading until they've been on the first of the month. The issue with that is that, of course, on the 25th, which pretty much is, while we're trying to do rereads and everything else, so if we could shorten it, I could see us shortening the time, but I don't see us shortening personnel.
With this system, how long is it gonna take us to do this? So in 1 day.
Yeah, so right now it takes us a day to day and a half to do reads.
So I mean, this would be less than a day. So you can start doing your rereads.
Yeah.
Sooner.
Yeah, we'll pop that out, it comes over a week, then export it out, and it tells us.
So when you do reads on the 15th, you should be able to have those rereads done before the 25th is, and you're starting to cut.
We do a lot of manual work too, just to verify, because sometimes there are anomalies pop up, and so we've got systems in place that pops those anomalies out for us to look at. But there is still a lot of manual work that we do, so if we can get out of doing that manual work.
I think too, as far as history for the citizens, going back 10, 12 years ago, we had nothing but a mess on our hands.
And that really was manual reads.
It was manual reads, half the meters didn't work. Some people had free water for 5, 6 months, of course, they finally caught it and they had to pay it, you know, and it was an absolute disaster. We had 2 different meter systems, nothing was talking to each other, it was an absolute mess, you know.
There's been a lot of improvements.
So we've done a long ways, we still have a little way to go, but we've done a long ways.
But financially, we also helped ourselves by going through the $250 deposit.
Anything
You're
else?
always gonna have write-offs of water.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to, there's no way around it. I mean, somebody's gonna beat your system. And, you know, but that's not a really good excuse. You just try to mitigate it, keep it down as much as possible.
Well, right off in relationship to 8 years, 10 years ago,
Ooh,
that was
no.
better.
That's right,
Yeah.
it's so much
I
better.
have to say that.
Yeah.
You know,
And honestly, compared to a lot of other cities, we're
We're low. We are
Anything else from up here? Anybody in the audience want to comment on the SBA tower contract? Don't see anybody, so would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve SBA, tower agreement flex net system.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and that completes our agenda. So we'll go on to commission and staff comments. I have just a few things. Right after our last meeting, we had a TPO meeting, I think the next day, and we approved the project priorities. Really, the main things in there, we have some projects that are still high priority, but they're not funded. But we do have, included in that is funding for the Bertha Avenue sidewalk from Forsyth to Eagle Lake Way for construction in 2027. The Lake Drive sidewalk that we talked about tonight from Tyndall Parkway to Bertha, that's funded for engineering in 2026 and then construction in 2028. And the project that we submitted just earlier this year for the South Gate sidewalk from Boat Race to Cherry Street, that's not funded yet, but that is the number one priority that's been submitted. And those flat grants get funded a little quicker than like our Highway 22 project. So that was the TPO meeting. And this, it doesn't really pertain to Callaway, but in a way it does. It's progress at Tyndall. On June 3rd, they had the ribbon cutting for the 2 new dorms. And boy, they are nice dorms. They're not like what you see in the movies, the old Army dorms. These look like hotel rooms. Everybody, they've got private rooms. So, they got a microwave and a little refrigerator. Their own bathroom. They're really nice. But that's progress at Tyndall, so that's a good thing for Callaway. And at First Friday on the 6th, Jared Perdue, the Transportation Secretary for FDOT, he was the speaker, but what I was telling the commissioners at our next Bay County League of Cities meeting, he's supposed to be the speaker so we can have the opportunity to have a closer conversation with him and see what we could do to maybe get some funding for things like Highway 22, see if he can get us any pointers of what it's going to take. If we keep bugging people, maybe eventually we'll get some money. And we did have a meeting last night at the League of Cities, and Becca Harden came and talked about the projects, some of the ones that they've gotten and others that they're trying to get. And I know those things aren't in Callaway, but they're trying to get higher paying jobs, and where that's kind of a bonus for Callaway. We have a lot of retired military in Callaway, and a lot of the jobs, things at the airport that they're getting, those could be good jobs for our retired military folks. So that could be a benefit to Callaway.
Highly technical job.
Yes, exactly. And that's everything that I had. So Commissioner Davis, let me step back. Well, Commissioner Root, you want to go ahead and start, and we'll catch him when he gets back.
Well, just a question concerning solid waste. Where do we stand on that?
Yeah, it's on my list, that's the number one thing.
Okay, well, I guess what if you
No, we can talk about solid waste. Bid specs have been drawn up, they've been reviewed by staff. Staff has approved them, I've given them to the attorney. He'll write it up in whatever format he wants. Kevin, I know it looks a little different than what we've seen in the past, but that's just that.
Yeah.
You can write it in your stuff. Yeah, so Kevin will get it into that, and then the minute he goes through it, double checks everything, he'll send it back to me, and I'm gonna send it out to y'all to look at. We can put it on an agenda for everyone to look at and talk about, or we can put it out for bid to y'all.
I think, budget time's coming up. And the more we delay this, the worse it's gonna be, because obviously,
Well, I tell you what, how about whenever Kevin gets it into a format,
I mean, why did we
let me
have to
sit-
approve it? You want to do it,
how about I send it out to y'all and I go ahead and give it to Ashley and Ashley will get it out.
I mean, that's,
I mean, that way we'll have prices.
we want to do it, so it's just
Sure.
an issue of technical and legal. And it's legal, it passes legal review, I don't know why we have to put it on the agenda.
That's right. That's right.
That's great.
You can go ahead and put it out for
Just get
bid,
it out.
that way by the time
Get
we're
it out
working
for
on
bid.
budget, we'll know what we're looking at.
The scope and technical side will go about 14 pages.
Yeah, because you got, just a few more months before we have budget meeting,
That's right.
and we really need to have some type of figures in our head before budget.
Yep.
So I think we need to accelerate this thing and get, Attorney Ogles to do what he needs to do, bless it, and then go off the bids.
Yep, that's it. So you don't have to go don't need to put it on an agenda.
Once Kevin gets it to me, I'm gonna send it out to y'all to review.
I don't wanna review it, I just think we just need to go.
Okay.
It's all technical.
I just sent it to y'all.
And I'm fine not to approve it.
Not to approve, just look at it, that's y'all been asking
That's
for.
fine, you can send it so I can look at it.
I'll send it to y'all, but I'll look at it, Ashley, do your thing.
Because it's all technical stuff anyhow.
That's right.
Oh, it's pretty common sense. It's a lot of common sense.
Well, I know, but at the end of the day,
This is what you get.
the legal aspect has to come from you.
And then if your staff, the experts and solid wastes look at it and they're good with it and passes legal muster,
I was really.
you don't need to make any changes to it.
No, I don't plan on making changes.
Nope, so
We beat it up for about a month.
that's it, so you can send it
We've
to
been
us, so
beating
we
this up for a
know
long
what's out for bid, but you don't need our approval.
Well, keeping in mind that what we're trying to do, at least what I'm trying to do, is clean up the city, however we pick it up and however we charge it, or whatever the situation is. But we've got to clean up the city, the solid waste of the city. Now, if that takes an outside contractor to do it, or we realize, well, we're gonna have to do it in-house, and maybe we have some guidance with the outside contractor bids.
I think, Commissioner, what you're talking about has nothing to do with this contract.
No, we're just
Has
trying to,
has to do that we need to clean the city up,
yeah.
Right.
But
you know.
a lot of it, we're looking at cost.
Right.
Is it more?
But if we're looking at cost on the economy, we're not saying right now, as we sit right here, we're not saying we're gonna do away with solid waste within the city. We're gonna be looking at what a contractor can do for us, or what we may have to do for ourselves. But the overall goal, however we go.
But we should already be doing that unless it's illegal dumping.
Well, it's not only illegal dumping, but we're also looking at what we used to do 20 years ago, and what we picked up, and what we're not picking up now.
You know, I know.
Let me quickly go ahead and.
That contractor's not gonna change that.
The contract, we are picking up now exactly what a contractor would pick up.
Right.
We mimic everyone
I
else,
don't
they all
see
have
that
the same thing.
changing.
So going out for bid, it's not gonna do anything, but have another company do it for us.
Right.
Depending on
Same thing,
cost.
yeah.
They may be way more expensive than if we
Right,
continue to
that's
do
what I'm
it.
saying. We don't know.
I think that's what we really, what started this, to look and see
Right.
what's more cost.
And a lot of times you go through this process and those contractors, even when they try to do this, they'll wait a couple months and say, why don't you make a couple changes to your ordinance and tighten it up even more. And that happens almost 100% of the time. Which I think, we've made those changes and like I said, got it pretty consistent with what a private contractor would do, but it'll get tighter or not.
Well, we're still gonna have solid waste. I mean, there's no way around it. We're still gonna have to have a truck, we're still gonna have to have somebody, there's just, I mean, it's not like we can turn it over and go, complaints are still gonna come in public works, so there's a complaint, it's coming in public works.
My
Because they
concern
have
is
more
how many
complaints.
people do we have in solid waste?
Mr. Schultz,
So,
including supervisor? Yes.
but, I hate to put 4 people out of a job.
Not putting that down, won't put them somewhere else.
Go somewhere else.
I'll have to absorb them somewhere else, but that's gonna be a cost.
Well, see, that's the
It's gonna be
thing.
a cost to the budget somewhere else.
Yeah, I think city manager too, with Commissioner Griggs, saw how we used to do things, and I've gotten a few phone calls, and we have have a citizen here in the audience that's already discussed that with me this evening. It used to be back in the day, that they couldn't pick everything up, they get out and rake it and finish cleaning it up versus leaving a mess behind. And I keep on getting calls on messes, and I know Commissioner Bridges probably is too, is that it's just like scooping up, okay, whatever's left is left. I've seen pieces of toilet left behind, I've seen glass left behind, I've seen so much stuff that we used to be able to get out of that truck, sweep it up and clean it up and be done with it. They don't have to do it every time. But somehow or another, we got disconnected from that over the last few years.
One of those things, what I'm running into and getting reports on, because I sit up here and Ron, close your ears, because I'm gonna bring up the 96-gallon can again. Well, a lot of people don't have that, you know, and what I'm also finding out is the contractor is picking up their garbage. They may have a mechanical device that dumps it in the back of there, but then they're going through it and saying, wait a minute, that board or that, this or that, we're not picking that up, and they leave it on the side of the road.
Waste management doesn't do that.
Well, waste management doesn't have people on the back of their
Yeah.
trucks.
That's gonna be, there's only 2 vendors that I know of that would be doing that.
Well, they're doing it.
Yeah.
And we need
So I
to,
don't have that anymore.
because we got in our requirements that it goes in, if you can put it in a 96-gallon can, put it in there. And then we've got the contractor is actually going through what the people are putting in there and saying, I'm not gonna take that, I'm not gonna take it. And y'all know that, it's happened to you, I believe, as well.
On trash?
Yeah.
On trash.
Well, I think we should identify those vendors and let city manager have a discussion with them.
I tried, man, on getting the reason I grabbed that bucket.
See, that's fine. Well, I have waste
Well,
management, they dump it in
Yeah.
there.
I have the same thing, because they start going through, I mean, right now, my trash is out there, they're gonna be picking up tomorrow. Yeah, but half of it is wood that I cut up because it's floated up in the bayou. I cut it up and put it in a 96-gallon can.
So they're supposed to be picking this
No,
trash, unless it's.
I want the contractor to pick it up, if anything that goes in that 96-gallon can goes, unless you're talking about,
Yeah, paint, instead don't put stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know that waste management and waste pro, they're not doing that.
no, but they're mechanically doing it, dumping it in the trunk, and there's not anybody but the driver there.
There's only 2 companies that have people behind you.
Yeah, that's
And I've not seen anybody do that.
That new,
something they budget,
county's using the trash.
one to stand on the back of the truck.
He said, what?
Yeah.
I don't have it, but when I did, I seem to do it to my neighbors,
Really?
pull things out of the can and spit it on the road and go on.
Call me.
Well,
Call me, I'll.
It's just a matter of, I think, identifying and then give the city manager the call. We have contract with these people. But I'm too concerned about that, because I haven't got any complaints about that. I'm getting a lot of complaints about our solid waste people leaving a mess behind. And I think, you know, that's something that city manager can kind of take a look at. So,
And some of it has to do with, we had a situation where there was a toilet, somebody took one out, well, they broke it. And there was a small piece laying in the ground, well, they didn't get out and pick it up. Should've put it in a trash can. I know that's silly, but you need to get out and pick up your mess, you know, it was there, pick it up. I said, well, if you knew it was broke, why didn't you put it in the toilet? Or why didn't you put it in the tank?
This would not be
Something
a
like
mess.
that, you know.
The complaints city manager that I'm getting is tree limbs and grass and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And,
I had
and of
one night
course, it
look
goes
at-
with,
I told the homeowner they had to break up with that bucket.
I agree, we can, and you know what, these are things we can work on.
right, yeah, it's internal.
It's internal, we can work on that.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
I'm kinda happy that's what they're doing.
Do you have anything else?
One of the truth, I'm kinda happy that's the complaint.
We'll come back to you. You left, so we went to Commissioner Briggs, so we'll come back
My
to
knees
you.
were knocking, I couldn't hold it.
That's fine.
We don't need to know that.
No.
Too much information.
We should be taking a microphone.
Way too much.
You got anything?
The cemetery, but I saw the email today, update on the Al parcel, NTP on that.
Got that?
I drove here and didn't even look at the fence, but I had a question, why was the fence taken down, laying out for?
Already asked them about
Oh,
that
did you?
earlier. yeah.
Oh, here, is that on the back parcel?
No, we're talking about right out here.
Oh.
What I asked you about when I first came in.
Alright, so, we had an issue with a section of fence out here. And we called it in, that's right, we were fixing that. Contractor came in, he did something that he thought would work. And it didn't work, and thunderstorm came through, fence blew down. And so, we now went back out there, he had to order all new posts, and, it's gonna be installed, we're gonna be out there watching it be installed, it's supposed to be done this week. Alright. Tim, I will tell you right now, Tim's on it. Contractor does not like Tim. And that's a good thing.
And the other one,
If he likes them, he's not.
the last couple things, just waiting on your updates.
Yes, ma'am. So I got to attend a lot of different things, representing the city, one of them's First Friday. At First Fridays, while I'm there at FSU, I go upstairs and talk to the scholarship people. And they let me know what scholarships are available and so forth. So there's several available for the fall term. So all you need to do is apply if you're a student at Panama City, FSU. And we're talking $750 a shot, so it's up. Governor's visit, he was there at Millville at the boat ramp, and they announced the approval of the voters' rights. And then I got to meet the governor real quick. I was surprised I got to talk to him for a moment. But that was really cool. I got to meet Congressman Byron Daniels, who's going to run for governor. I was at a Republican Party meeting with him, and he gave a great speech. He's a pretty dynamic individual. I was there at the DuPont Bridge with the mayor, and I think everybody else here pretty much was there. So that was pretty cool. League of Cities meeting was last night. I got to meet Panama City Mayor, talked with him quite a while. Went to the lionfish tournament yesterday. It's the largest lionfish tournament in the world, and I volunteered time to work for that. And that was 2 days worth of picking up dead fish. Attended the St. Andrews, St. Joe Bay Estuary Committee meeting. I represent Callaway there. And that's pretty much everything.
Hey, did you have anything for us, Steve? Okay, city attorney, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do want to, I think 2 meetings ago, when I was out for my wife's surgery, I think some conversation came up about, doing some, smaller scale paving bids.
Yeah, right,
We did,
right.
Cole, we thought we had something like that, Pamela, so I went and found what Pamela City Beach had done, and that was actually they have a paving machine. So their bids were more of a invitation to bid for like supply and materials. So they did have a whole set of bids, but it was like just to go buy the asphalt and stuff. It's not what we need.
So we don't.
So in talking to city manager, it sounds like what we need, I just want to get clarification and see if you want to expand on this. Is when it's known as like a push button contract. We did this in New Haven 3 or 4 years ago, where you can get 2 or 3 contractors on a continuing contract, a 3-year, 5-year contract. And, one of those push button services could be paving, it has to be under the, if it's over 200,000, you're gonna want to bid the whole thing. You're doing a whole road. But if it's just a, smaller streets or whatever, under 200,000, you can get those guys on a continuing contract. And it doesn't just have to be paving. You could have a massive water break that Eddie's staff can't handle it, and you might need to, let me call in so-and-so, because they do this utility work on a, not an emergency basis, but where certainly you can't got those, we did this in Hampton several years ago, and it's worked pretty well. If we want to just do paving under the threshold, we can go with that, and I'll get with Ashley, get that out. If you want to expand it, it's up to you. It seems like you haven't really had issues with that, where you need to call in private contractors on other utility work. You're pretty good on that, so you want to just do it for, that would be my suggestion, is do a push button paving contract.
What
Do
threshold are we
small.
talking about?
You would want it, well, I mean, you certainly have to do it, well, I think 35,000 would be ideal. I'm not sure, you mentioned there were several projects that were under,
We're right.
in that 35 or under situation.
Is 35 standard or is 35 legal?
When are we required to bid out?
Yeah, well, we could look back at our procurement policy, but I know, over 35, I think under our purchasing policy, we're bidding out 35 and under, we go and get quotes and that sort of stuff.
We want
Yeah.
I'd love 50.
Well, yeah, I think it's 335. If it's, that way you can just, you have them on continuing contract, dial them up, and say, hey, come do this 100 foot segment or whatever. But if, the one that Beach had was literally, I'm gonna go buy asphalt, and get my machine to do it, so. They're trying to go away from that.
Would you want to do that?
Well, I think
You want to
they.
purchase an asphalt
Yeah,
plant?
I think they, they
I
have
don't think
that.
we wanna do
They're-
that.
Even they're trying to go away from that, because they don't want to
Right, oh yeah,
run a asphalt machine.
we don't have to do that. The biggest problem with that is we have to tear the asphalt up, and because we don't have a milling machine. And the best thing is about those, these companies is they be able to come in, do a mill, get it to the right size, and then come back and make asphalt.
I think some of these bigger issues that we're having, patching it, we're just wasting our time and effort. There's one particular neighborhood that I'm working with the city manager.
Yes.
We go in and patch it, 2 weeks later, there's a hole again, and we're just throwing our money away. And this particular project, of course, I don't know if we have to go off the bid now, because it's still gonna be months and months before we can get this thing off the ground, is that correct?
I mean, I've got it, I'll just rip out all the stuff about utility work and water lines and just leave the paving section in there. It shouldn't take however long,
You put it on the.
however long it takes to get it out, you should be able to get it bid out. And again, you can
Now,
always,
once he gets it to us, we'll put it.
yeah, we bid out, and it doesn't have to be exclusive, you can literally, I mean, you might get, CW Roberts, Wilmer, you have 3 of them,
I don't care.
and you can just pick up the phone and say, who's available to come out here and do this.
Or like a piggyback contract from each.
No, it's not a piggyback, because it's smaller, so they call it push button, which is basically, I want to do a little bit more than a patch, but I don't want to have to separately bid out and have a whole separate project. So we'll just have you, and it's competitively bid, and you'll have them under contract, with prices and everything. You just pick them up. If the guy's like, hey, I can't get there for 3 weeks, then you go to the next guy.
I don't want to get the people that are passing 15th Street across from the Mazda there.
Right. It doesn't sound like you want to use it for patching jobs. I mean, you could certainly, but it'd be, you're gonna do segments and stuff like that.
Callaway did this year and year and year. I remember when I was sitting out there and they would approve somebody for, and that it would just be with one.
Yeah.
And it would be, we need to pay this, this, and this, and they'd call that contractor and say, they would quote so much a mile or something. So
Yeah,
then they would get in touch with them and they would have whatever.
Yeah, I think the issue is, we get do a lot of our paving with, state appropriations, obviously we got house that money to do it, so you kind of get in a situation where a lot of times with a big project, we're gonna do 4 different roads, you're gonna bid that out separately. This would not be for that.
This is where I got a
Small job.
100-foot section of road that I need fixed.
And
I don't have a problem. We can't go and pay.
Commissioner Pelletier, you brought up a situation, you said y'all were looking at, you have an area that you repeatedly having to go back in.
Time and time again. Yeah.
Where is this?
Where's it at, J. Screws?
And what is the reason that we're having to go back in?
Because the patching there, the holes are so, there's so many holes. It started with little potholes and now it's about the size of this, this diocese.
This
And it's
has
getting
nothing to do
worse
with
and worse
utilities.
and worse.
This is just failed asphalt.
It's just
a long time ago. Just doing what they call alligator.
Right.
Okay, I understand that, but we go in and repair and go in and repair. But this is something that we really need to do to bid.
And that's up to the city manager, I just said,
I
you know,
talked to, I actually had a contractor go out there and look at it, and he said they would go through and they would mill it. They would mill it down and redo it, and fix it. It's just, unfortunately, asphalt doesn't last forever. And once it starts losing its cohesiveness, it starts falling apart, and that's just what happens. It
Goes
just
down
falls
there.
apart.
J.H. Cruz and,
Williams.
Williams Way, you'll see that whole section here. It's bad. We've been patching that for 3-4 years now. And continue to patch it. We just patched it a couple of weeks ago, and it still looks like, I won't use it. But in my mind, you just, you know, and Commissioner Davis, at a TPO meeting, they talked about the paving of 98 from I think, the intersection, down, paving of 98 coming this way is in 2026 or 27. I know it was talked about, the TPO, the transportation guys from, DOT were talking about that at the meeting. They were gonna pave the rest of Highway 98, which is gonna come up to the 22.
But it just sounds like on that particular thing, we just need to do the paving right, go ahead and put that in for paving, and then we don't have to do it again.
Thank you. Right.
So what does this have to do with,
It might only be
subcontractor or?
might only be a $25,000 project. So instead of doing
$28,000.
You know,
one bid specific to that, we're saying there may be 4 or 5 areas in the city.
Right.
So let's do, okay, so there's 4 different situations like this. Let's get get a couple contractors under a continuing contract prices, and we can just assign them, you know, at once or as needed, as opposed to bidding them out every single
Yeah,
time.
instead of bidding out just that one piece of street. If we have the continuing contract.
Just get it done, be done with it.
To do it.
This has been going on for a long, long time.
Would he want to get a,
He has a paving machine.
paving?
Yeah, but I still have bid thresholds,
Okay.
and I can't, you know, it's 28,000, it's gotta go up to bid.
Okay. So
Yeah,
the bid portion is what's going on.
Yeah. It's gonna have to
And
be
every
real.
time I have something come up, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I have to first off have somebody go out and do an evaluation. And these, you know, and these guys are going out, they're evaluating for me for free.
Right.
And so, you know, it's like, hey, can you give me a quote? Well, you know, their question is, well, is it gonna go out for bid? Because they know they're gonna write my spec. That's what they're doing. They're going out going, oh, we're gonna mill this amount of this, we're gonna do this and this. And, you know, then I gotta go through and I have to write the specs for the bid. Then it has to go to Ashley. Ashley has to put a bid out.
Yeah.
And then we get it in, then we gotta come back to the award the contract when, would it's just been easier if we could go up to $35,000, right, and say, you know, and I don't mind coming back to y'all and say, hey, we didn't pay this,
It's
It's
not
not
easier.
budgeted, so I gotta, you know, I'm gonna take it out somewhere. Right now to do it, we're trying to eliminate all this red tape.
Do you think city
Little
manager
project
about
done.
700 or 800 feet, probably total?
For yours,
No, for Jake's Cruz, yeah.
6,000 square feet.
6,000 square feet. Okay. The total project.
You know, we got a problem over on many of them. Where we ripped the whole road up and we've gotta fix it. There's several sections all across the city where there's just areas that pavement has failed. I don't need to pave the whole entire road, I just need to fix these sections.
Fix it right first.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, so I'll get that together, get with Ashley, and just do it as, you know, push button, or you can award it to, you know, multiple contractors, just have them all on standby.
Okay.
And go from there.
And we'll make sure we run all 80 first, by the commission.
So
So
you
y'all
don't
know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We'll have to award it to the
Yeah.
2 or 3 or
But I'm
4.
talking about the individual projects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those will come back and be approved by y'all. So it's not like y'all are giving me carte blanche to be able to go and just use it and say, hey, stuff on it.
Well, the work needs to be done, and we need to do it, absolutely.
I mean, it's nice, we're getting to these points where we're finding these things that, to streamline our process to be more effective, you know, as opposed to going, you know, I'm looking for money to pave a mile of road, you know, I'm getting into some of these areas. We still got miles of road that we need to pave, but All right, I'll go through this really, really quick. Boat Race Road,
Can I just add to that quickly?
sure.
If you don't budget for it, it's not gonna save the same time anyway, because you're gonna have to keep coming back.
Next year's budget, we need to put a pot of money for paving.
We are.
Okay, then I'll go ahead with the.
But in your interim, we could do a change.
So as y'all know, we came through not long ago and did a change order, on Boat Race because we had money left over that came in low. We've got another, just about $90,000 left. I have a change order coming in for that. We have some more drainage in the big ditches down by the church that we're gonna fix, and just some other minor things. I got that. I got all those quotes in today. We're still under budget. It's at the state. It'll be in front of y'all at the next meeting for y'all to approve. Once again, this is all state appropriations money. It's not costing the taxpayers anything. The roundabout project, WOW is off the poles. Comcast is off the poles. AT&T is supposed to be off the poles this week. I did verify, actually met with Comcast out there today. They're off the poles. And so AT&T does have a fiber running under the road. They're a little concerned about. They're getting some depths on it because they're probably gonna run through that fiber out from underneath the road. But other than that, we're getting really close to being able to start that project. Beacon Point, notice to proceed, everything's done. They're preparing what they call the submittals. Submittals go to the manufacturer that manufactures the building. So we're probably 30 days off before you're gonna really start seeing anything happen out there. The safety fencing and stuff is gonna start going because it's under contract. But they're, just gonna understand this building has to be manufactured, so the submittals have to be made, and then they'll come back and start to work on that. Hugh Thomas Drive is, they're under contract, and it's proceed and signed. They're doing their due diligence, and we're getting ready to start on that road. The 5 lift stations, they're under notice to proceed. Their submittals are the same thing. Their submittals are getting in. That project is probably not gonna start for 5 months. They're still gonna be under time, but you can't halfway rehab a lift station. When you do a lift station, you go in, you shut it down, you get it done quick within a week. So they will go through, their submittals will go in. Once that, they're gonna come back and they'll tell us they're 5 months out on manufacturing right now. Every company is the same way. So we'll get a definite date. It's not really anything we're going to see anyway, because we're doing a lift station in the middle of nowhere. But they're under contract and they're ready to go. Cemetery fence, I sent an email out today. We're going to use Lay Down Yard at City Hall. They're coming in at the end of the month, and they're going to start on that cemetery fence. And so I'm working with them, and they're pretty excited. They say they're going to be out in 30 days. But once they hit the ground, they're out in 30 days. They're coming from Ocala. He says, we're coming from Ocala. We have a plan. He says, I'm bringing the best men I have. They're coming up. They are going to work until it's done. Because, they're going to pay extra for housing. So they're going to keep them here. And then, we already really talked about Sandy Creek when we got there. So it's still under environment. So that's a pretty decent project there. Unless I missed anything.
Everybody good? So that finishes our commission staff comments. Our announcements, June 14th, that's this Saturday, the Children's Fishing Rodeo, so from 7 a.m. to 10. So get there early, get your fishing pole, and let your kids try to win a prize. And I think we're doing hot dogs and stuff.
I don't know.
If we're doing hot dogs.
I'm getting a yes.
So
Rodeo
y'all
run by
come-
Leisure Services.
come with
Those
your
guys do a great
spatulas.
job. I like to come out and enjoy it.
Historical Society.
Yes, I'm gonna get to that. Okay, on June 19th, Historical Society, we're meeting in the community center at 5:30 in the evening. So we won't be meeting in the community center on Sundays anymore, but we will meet on June 19th at 5:30 in the evening. And then on June 20th, there's a planning, does it look like there will be a planning board meeting? Be a planning board meeting here at 6 o'clock on June 20th. And I think June 24th is the date of our next commission meeting. It said June 10th. That's tonight. 24th will be our next commission meeting.
Planning board on the 20th, I don't think so, that's a Friday.
Okay.
Are you guys opposed to those from June?
So the 17th would be,
Juneteenth is for
yes, we're closed, the city's closed for Juneteenth, but we are having a meeting that night, a historical society meeting. But yes, the 17th, yeah. So June 17th will be the planning board meeting, not the 20th. So,
It's the Tuesday opposite of this meeting.
yeah, well, that's what I said. It'll be next
That's the easiest
Tuesday.
way to look at it. We streamline this process. Planning board meets, it can go to the commission. Planning board meets, it can go to the commission.
So unless anybody's aware of anything else that's not on here, that's all of our announcements.
City holiday, June 19th.
Yes, June 19th is a holiday. Okay, so we will go to public participation. Ms. Pelletier.
Anna Pelletier, 7724 Shadow Bay Drive. And, first of all, thank you, Bob, Mayor, Commissioner Griggs, Commissioner Davis, for keeping your commissioner comments relevant to Callaway, or at least in our area. So we citizens appreciate that. And also, I'd just like to note that the last election, April 2024, Bob was the only candidate who did not campaign on his national political affiliation. Because we know these seats are nonpartisan. And so, and at one point during the conversation, Commissioner Briggs even told another elected official he didn't care what someone's national political affiliation is. And so I'd just like to say thank you, Bob, Mayor, Commissioner Briggs, Commissioner Davis, for making sure the citizens know that you represent everyone, no matter who they vote for in a presidential election or any other election, and for making sure that you keep your seats and positions and comments politically neutral so that citizens know you represent us all. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak? Yes, sir.
So I encountered one of the amazing people that go around and solicit. These are the RIDD, R-I-D-D, pest control services. Rang my doorbell yesterday, wouldn't leave, like as in like I didn't answer the door. So I have a 90-pound German Shepherd. She is very protective of my wife. She don't care about me at all. And I have a 60-pound, we don't know exactly what he is, border collie mixed with something. And he doesn't like anybody at all. So typically my mode of operating when somebody knocks on the door is I check one of my Ring cameras, see if they're important. If they're not, I don't answer the door. I don't care. I don't care what they're selling. I don't care how important they are. So he wouldn't leave. So I opened the door, make sure my dogs don't come out because that would be bad. And I told him, hey, I've seen your picture all over social media. People complaining about you being pushy. People complaining about you not having your credentials. So I went down this whole thing. I shouldn't have to tell this guy how he should operate his part of his business. But I was like, you gotta pay the county. You gotta get stuff done. You gotta pay the city. I literally went on the city and was reading him the thing he has to do. That he has to be credentialed, has to have all this. Or we have been told to call the sheriff's department. So I called the non-mercy line. Had the deputy come out. But the background check come back and for his credentials, I'm like, well, why would you? That's something you don't want to tell me. Like, hey, I did all this, but I'm not ready. Why not, from a standpoint of like, if you're a valid person, you want to sell something. Hey, here's all my credentials. Here's the company I work for. This is what I'm doing. This is what my name is. But you notice they don't park a vehicle near where your house is. When the AC repairman comes out, his license is on his truck. If I call anybody else, their license is on their truck. They'll tell me their name. this is my long drawn out story of saying that when these people, if they do apply for a permit for City of Callaway, I want it to be rejected. Because I don't think that they should be, they're already not following the rules. I got 30 seconds, I'm gonna talk. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make a lot of people mad. The lionfish thing, I made a joke when you weren't here the other day about it. I'm sorry, I should have done it. It was very unprofessional of me that I will make this up for the lionfish tournament. But the thing is, even though we all laugh when you talk about those things, the bodies of water, they do migrate, they come down here. Obviously fishing is important. We're having a fishing rodeo for the kids, even though it's over there. But if you want to go get in Gore Park with your boat, they're there. So it's important.
Thank you. Mr. Shaner?
Ron Shaner, 5711 Cabot Circle. I've been interested in this solid waste thing, and what I heard tonight, it sounded like it's gonna be the same old, just different people doing it. I'm concerned about these piles of trash that they don't pick up, and they sit there for weeks and months, and who knows how long. I mean, I've been watching some now for a couple of months, and they're not changing much. Wednesday comes, which is our day, and it's not bothered, it's still laying there, talk about beautifying the city, it don't get any prettier. So it sounded like, just the same things are gonna be picked up, and, I'd hope for some bigger tree limbs, or maybe, once or twice a year, it used to be clean up, fix up, paint up, we'll send extra trucks on, out and pick up, and I don't have that anymore. And anyway, that's all I got. And, anyway, you talked about, not bringing it up, the commission, or not being on the agenda. Well, how else are we gonna hear about it? Do we have to go and corner up a commissioner and get detail? I mean, I'd like to have, exactly what's going on with it before you vote on it and pass it or whatever. I know we're concerned about the cost and what we're getting for our money, but, I'd like to see some improvements on the pickup and what it'll pick up. And that's all I got.
Okay, Mr. Shaner. It would come back to commission before any contract was approved, so it would be discussed. It'll go out for bid, but it'll come back to commission for discussion before anything can be approved.
I'll get my
So it's- Yeah, you can look at bids on the website?
They're all published through vendor registry, and anybody can register an account on vendor registry. It's free to look at how it is. Yeah, they can call and request it back.
Yeah, you can always check. If you want an actual copy of what's gonna go out for bid, you can give Ashley a call and she can send it to you, probably email it to them. She can email it to you.
Or if they wanna come in and just look at it back.
Or you can go by City Hall and just look at it if you wanna see it on paper. Okay?
It just sounded like I'm gonna get roughed out of my 3 minutes.
Did anybody else wanna speak? Yes, sir? I'll get you then, Teresa.
Where'd it go? Did you want to?
He just got his hands up a little quicker, but.
I'm sorry. Jeff Carter had 7752 Shadow Bay Drive. One thing, I don't know what's going on with the Tyndall Parkway rehabilitation project out there, but last night I drove down Tyndall Parkway between Boat Race and Sharon, and it was a flood zone out there. The sprinkler systems were going, they weren't watering the grass, they were watering the blacktop, and I don't know who to call, complain about that. That's number one. Number two, I didn't want to bring up about Williams and La Costa and that area down there, you brought it up already, but, Beacon Point Plaza, about 2.5 months ago, I came here to the commission and talked about that area next to Subway. Mr. Davis, you made a comment about it, everybody made a comment about that area, just next to Subway, about how all that stuff's sitting in there, the asphalt and everything else. And I have yet to see anything being done or heard any more about it. What's being done about cleaning up that
All
lot?
that real estate, they're working on a deal now to hopefully have a new client once that area.
But that
Well,
lot,
we can't make them pay.
that lot is a freaking eyesore.
But there's nothing we can do about it, it's
You
not.
got a contractor, and they have a bond agent that you can go after and clean it up yourself, the city can clean it up, or somebody can clean it up.
It's,
That would
the
have
real
been-
estate company started that, they were under contract with the bank, the bank backed out, but that real estate company is who owns it and who did the master contract. The bank didn't have anything to do with it.
So you can go after them and have them clean it up, right?
The people that own it,
Yes.
they self-contracted.
So you can go after him to have it cleaned up, and the city can clean it up, right?
We have to see if there's a hazard. I can't clean it up, I just can't clean up an eyesore.
Yeah.
This is the worst part of city government, because you have people that come by and go, there's, this trailer down here is ratty, and we need to do something about it. There is no such thing in state law as the aesthetic police. That is horrible, and it's a hard thing to say, but I know what you're saying, I'll go out and take a look at it. There was a development order on that.
Yes.
I don't know if it's expired yet.
No.
And if it hasn't, this.
Mr. Price said it was due up when.
Grocery outlet people been on them too because they're losing parking.
So we can look at, after the development order, you know, they're gonna have to do something, either extend it or, and we can talk about it then, but if it's under a development order, I definitely can't touch it, it's construction. Whether they say they're gonna do it or not, it's development order. So I can look at that.
You can disapprove the extension and have them clean it up.
There's options, yes, that's what I'm saying, yes. Okay, anyways, but yeah, I wouldn't bring up that Kendall Parkway in the water, anyways.
Okay, thank
Let me,
you. Okay.
So that project is technically complete, we're doing a walkthrough. I'm not sure when it's scheduled, you know, Brent.
It's soon.
It's really soon. There are some minor things that they've got to change that we did not like. And so we're not going to take it and accept it until, but these are minor things. You know, so within the next couple of weeks, we'll take it. You can bet the minute that we take it, our irrigation guy is phenomenal, to say the least.
But our irrigation guy should have to fix the water in the Kendall Parkway.
So that's gonna be also part of the final walkthrough, is to double check all the irrigation, and they'll adjust the heads.
Okay.
So,
You need to do a walk through city manager when the irrigation is on, because this is not a new problem.
they will.
You know, I've talked to you about it a couple of times before.
Well, as part of the walkthrough, they will have
It's
to,
beyond silt.
Yeah.
Beyond
as
silt.
part of the final walkthrough, they will test the entire irrigation system. Like, I think Todd's already been out there, hasn't he?
Todd and I were out there, last day and a half, and we've got about a 2-page list of items that we would like them to change.
Okay.
Before they get final passage.
Yeah, so it'll be fixed. We're just at the end of that project, and we're gonna have to give them our punch list of items that need to be fixed. And he just said they were out there yesterday, past couple of days, making long list.
And the water in the road was one of the first things that is on the list.
Oh, okay. So we've identified it, they'll get with the contractor. Won't be long.
Well, it was just both lanes were flooded out, and it was 2 inches deep running across the road at 11:30 last night, and water was on, and I'm going, this is absolutely ridiculous.
And I thought he was gonna talk about all the dirt that got blown in the road. That happened yesterday.
Wasn't there?
I know it wasn't, I have no idea how many pictures I got. And I hit up them last night, late, I was sending them pictures going, why? Yeah, I'm like, why did you do this to me? Why would anybody blow the dirt and push it into the street?
That's what most businesses do.
Well, they washed it away for you.
I'm still there this morning. That's how much dirt it was.
Okay, Ms. Langston, I know you wanted to speak.
Teresa Langston, 6031 Lane Street. One of my questions is about the solid waste. If, well, it's not gonna change very much of what's picked up, then are we just doing the outbidding for cost purposes? And I don't know why we could have, I mean, I know they said no wood, boards, whatever, but, I mean, if somebody has a board or something, you want them to cut it up and put it in the garbage can. I mean, I don't think that a board or two, I'm not talking about building a house and throwing all the wood out there, but. And then I want to address something that was, a comment that was made, not last meeting, but the meeting before. It had to do with accusing Commissioner Pelletier and his wife, about rallying the citizens against Commissioner Ayers, because of the recall conversations that were taking place. They had no participation in it. They did not participate in any meetings or anything. I'm the one that called the meeting, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. I started a citizens group last year to try to encourage citizens to come to the commission meetings and the planning board meetings and, you know, to participate. But most of the reason why the citizens don't come is, like I've been stating, is the way they're treated, the way they're not listened to, they're demeaned, they're disrespected, you know, when they get up here and make a comment. And as far as contacting any news media, I didn't contact any news media. This is not for the news. This is something that we were handling and discussing as citizens. I can't help it if they show up at the meeting. And actually, I avoided one of them as much as he followed me here to the meeting, the last commission meeting. So I did talk to him a little bit, but I mean, I have nothing to hide about it. You know, with the recall and the citizens, and the whole reason for the meeting of the citizens were they wanted the meeting because they had questions about the procedures of the recall. And so it was easier just to call a meeting and discuss it. So if anybody has anything to say about, you know, the recall, the meetings or anything, please feel free to address it with me. I will be happy to have a discussion with you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Not seeing anybody. Unless somebody has something else, I can
I just want to address one thing. I think we got mixed up. Rick was talking about they were looking at these trash